I'll go ahead and try to speak up so that you guys can hear me. 2 weeks into the new year is a revealing time to talk about nutrition and exercise. January always starts with so much hope, but it's about this time, a couple weeks into the new year, that people start to question themselves. What did I get myself into? And what am I trying to do? And it's usually the questions not because they don't care, and it's not because they don't know what to do, and it's not because they lack discipline. It's not because we as humans lack discipline. We're going to talk a lot about that tonight. But it's because the way we've been taught to approach health often ignores how the human body actually works, especially under stress, pressure, and a full life. This is where I get an amen. Anybody out there with a full life right now? Thank you. Yes. My life is ridiculously full. Okay, I know a lot of yours are as well. So tonight, it's not about a diet. Okay, it's not about a workout plan. No, not about a workout plan. Okay, and it's not about guilt or willpower. That's really important to hear. It's not about guilt or willpower. Tonight is about understanding why change feels so hard. Why does change feel so flippin' hard? And how nutrition, strength, and psychology, okay, our minds, how they work together to support our awesome God-given bodies through a meaningful and purposeful life. Okay? That's what tonight is all about. So my hope is, by the end of this evening, welcome guys. By the end of this evening, you don't feel judged or overwhelmed. My hope is that you're clearer, calmer, and more equipped to take care of the body that we have in a way that lasts. That's the key. In a way that lasts. There's a quote from a psychiatrist, Irvin Yalom, that I stumbled across when I was putting this together. And what he said is that many patients seek therapy not to change their lives, but to be reassured that they don't have to. What he's getting at is that patients don't resist change because they're lazy. They resist it because change feels unsafe. If we're to be honest with ourselves, change is scary. We are afraid of change. And that same pattern shows up with what we choose to eat, how we exercise, and how we care for our bodies. The American Psychology Association has this to say: those who are uncomfortable in their bodies, has anyone ever been there? Uncomfortable in their bodies. They're less likely to exercise. Okay, they're less likely to exercise because they're lazy. No, it's not because they're lazy. Because they don't know what to do? No, it's not because they don't know what to do. Is it because they just don't know what the benefits of exercise are? No. They're less likely to exercise, those who are uncomfortable in their bodies, because they fear judgment. That's a huge thing. They are afraid and they fear judgment. I'm not going to the gym. What are they going to think about me when I'm in there? I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Right? That's a really, really big deal. So the barrier usually isn't motivation. The barrier usually isn't motivation. It's fear of what might happen. That is what resists. The fear of what might happen. And it's gripping. So fear doesn't just affect exercise, like we talked about the American Psychology Association. It shapes our relationship with food as well. There's another layer that's really important that we need to acknowledge, specifically about food. Okay? Food isn't just, to most people, probably everyone in here, definitely me, isn't just fuel for the body that you put in and then you get energy out. It's comfort. It's celebration. It's a great way to unwind at the end of a long day. In our culture, many of these moments are wrapped in good food, good drink, and good company. And the key word here is it's good. It's good. Good people, good company, good comfort, good celebration. Very, 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 very good. So when our energy dips, our weight changes, our habits slide, the internal dialogue often becomes, I should be doing better. Gosh, what am I doing? I know what to do. Why can't I just stick with it? Has anyone ever been there? Frustrated with what's happening. I just had a great holiday. Woohoo! Oh man, and now I'm ticked off at myself. That internal dialogue, that self-talk rarely leads to progress. In fact, it often leads to frustration. It also leads to all or nothing thinking. Ha! Today's the day. No sugar for tomorrow. Short bursts of energy and tons of effort, followed by discouragement, frustration. And here's what matters. It's not about discipline, and it's not about your character. No one's attacking that. No one's even questioning that. Okay? It's all about being a human in a high-pressure, high-stimulus world. When stress is high and recovery is low, our bodies naturally reach for what is comforting. That is a natural response. We reach for what is comforting, especially when we haven't been taught a better way. And that's my goal here tonight. It's to give you some solutions, some takeaways of how to do it in a way that lasts, other than frustration and other from a spirit of fear. So before I jump into some takeaways, I'm going to share a little bit of a personal story. And this isn't for sympathy. No. This is just a chapter out of the book of Shawnee as I live this earth to try to figure out what's going on with my body. In 2023, during a huge, massive overhauling of this GPT program, the Group Personal Training Program, I had what I believed was a cardiac event. Got done deadlifting, and the world just stopped. Rushed to the emergency room, doctor's appointments, everything you can imagine over the next 6 weeks. CT scans, MRIs, stress test. I got on the treadmill with all the leads. I'm running. And all along, I felt like all of the people knew what was going on with me, but they wouldn't tell me what was going on. I just felt like somebody just tell me what's going on. They all just kind of were just passing me along. They all knew, but I didn't. And I was terrified. Every day that went by, I got more and more afraid, to the point where I couldn't even get out of my bedroom. I would muster up as much strength as I possibly could to come to work. I'd get to work, nope. I'd go right back to my room. And every step of the way, I thought I was going to die. I don't know if any of you guys ever felt that way. Every step, oh, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. What's going to happen to my kids? What's going to happen to my wife? What's going to happen to freedom? What's going to happen? I'm going to die. I'm going to die. All of a sudden, every day, I kept waking up. I was having panic attacks. That was the end-all, be-all. I would get to the doctor, and they're like, nothing is medically wrong with you. So my primary care threw up his hands, is like, so I said, am I having panic attacks? And he said, probably. That was what was happening. I was having real-life panic attacks. And the symptoms were gripping with fear. They were absolutely horrible. Through therapy, thank the Lord for therapy, an awesome family, a super supportive staff, and a lot of you in here right now. I'm looking at a couple of you guys right now that helped walk me through a lot of this. You guys definitely helped me. I've been relatively panic-free for over a year. Okay, so here's the next step to this chapter of my story, okay? So think of it as like a really rich history book. You know, you get to the end of the chapter, and all of a sudden it's like, for more information, go to the appendix, right? They just like skim over it, and then you get to the appendix, and you're like, whoa, there's a lot of pages on just one simple event. This is the appendix portion, this next part, because this is really, really revealing. This is amazing. To get ready for this talk, okay, back in November, I wore a continuous glucose monitor for about 2 weeks. Okay? And I was fully anticipating, expecting to have all these spikes in my blood sugar. So what I was planning on doing, I was planning on eating like a candy bar and then just sitting. And then like watching what happens, you know? And then I was gonna, a couple days later, eat a candy bar and then go walk or exercise. And what I was expecting was, like, when I don't exercise, it's like this huge spike in blood sugar, and then it stayed up, and then all of a sudden it plummeted down. But then, you know, if I exercise, you know, then it would spike up, and then it would slowly kind of just level off and be okay, right? So I went kind of high highs and low lows. But what I found was that instead of having huge high blood sugar spikes, my blood sugar consistently plummeted. About 10 to 15 minutes into any exercise that I did, whether it was going for a run or being here with my 8:15 crummies, right? 15 minutes in, man, the world started spinning. My eyes started to like get tunnel vision. I would start to get lightheaded. I'd get brain fog. I wouldn't be able to formulate a sentence, and I was trying to avoid people. Like in here at 8:15, I'd like, no, don't talk to me, right? Take deep breaths, my heart would start racing, okay? Here's the crazy thing. Those symptoms that I was experiencing with those low blood sugar tanks were the exact same ones as when I was having panic attacks. It's crazy. So here's the truth. I was having panic attacks, right? It wasn't that I wasn't having panic attacks. I was definitely having panic attacks. But when I was exercising, I learned that I was underfueling. And when I was underfueling, I had the same sensations, the same symptoms of those panic attacks, and I was gripped with fear because I kept thinking, oh, any minute it's coming, the panic attack's coming, the panic attack's coming. And for even though a year I wasn't having panic attacks, I was sure as heck one was coming any minute, and it always was the same pattern. My body wasn't lying to me. This is really important, okay? My body and my mind weren't trying to play tricks on me. It wasn't trying to be confused. What my mind and what my body were doing was asking a really good question. Is this anxiety? Or is this my body asking for fuel? Is this anxiety, or is my body asking for fuel? And the really cool thing is that awareness, my ability to be able to sit back and be like, oh, it's either going to be the panic attack, or I just don't have enough fuel in my body, was so freeing to me. I was able to take a little high chew, got him right up there in the little counter up there, take a high chew, man, I felt awesome. And my exercise, my life completely changed in that moment. Because I was aware of what was happening in my body. My body was just trying to communicate with me. That's all it was trying to do. So this is where psychology, okay, the mind, physiology, and nutrition come together. I do need to pause right here, put a little brakes on, okay, and this is the most important part of this whole talk tonight. And then I promise I'll give you some takeaways. If you've struggled with food, weight, energy, or consistency, there is nothing wrong with your body. There's nothing wrong with your body. God has designed your body pretty perfectly. Okay? Here's what's happening. Your system has been responding appropriately to the stress, stimulus, and mixed messages. Your body is not broken. Your willpower is not defective, okay? This is a controversial statement, and I'm going to say it again. Your system, your body that you have, that all of y'all are sitting in right now, the only one that God's given you, right here, right now, it's not broken. Your system has been responding appropriately to the stress, stimulation, and mixed messages. Why that's important? Because tonight, these takeaways I'm going to give you, it's not about trying to re-engineer and fix the billions of chemical compounds that are in your broken, terrible body. It's just about understanding what is happening with the body that you have. Okay? We're just going to try to have an awareness moment. Aha! Panic attacks, low glucose, same symptoms. What? I'm not about to have a panic attack? All I need is a little candy? All right. It's freeing. The fear was ripped away with one simple little thing. No longer was I terrified. I was just aware. So let's talk about the body. Something I'm a little bit more of an expert in. Let's talk about that. Okay. Ready for fact number 1? The takeaway. Strength training is not optional as we age. Bet you all knew that one was coming. Strength training is not optional. Walking, woo! It's great. It's really, really good for you. Walking is very, very good for you. It's not enough. Come to the next workshop. Talk about it. Walking's great for you. Strength training is what's best for you. Okay? So you gotta have strength training in your life. Why do we need strength training? What is the physiological fact, the truth about strength training? Why do we have to have that, especially as we age? After the age of 35, we lose 2 to 5% of muscle every year. After the age of 35. You hit 35, guess what? Going down. All right? Compounding interest in the worst way. You get to be 70 years old, you're not resistant training, you're not strength training, guess what happens? You hit a point where you're like, dang, it stinks to get old. Right? You start thinking that at 40. 50, 60, 70, 80. We start losing it. It goes away. That's aging. That's normal aging. Right? Now, would it have been better? I have this conversation all the time. I see some people in the front row right here. Would it have been better for you to start strength training back in your 40s?
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Is it too late if you start in your 80s? No. You still have the ability to build strength. You still have the ability to build muscle. God has designed this body in an amazing way. You have the ability to build strength. If you're able to build strength, you're able to build muscle. What does muscle do for us? It stabilizes blood sugar. Probably a good thing. It protects our joints and our balance. Supports brain health. Last one of a bazillion I could have put on here. Raises metabolic rate. Those are some fancy words. Raises metabolic rate, and I'm going to dive into those. And that's where we're going next, is we're going to talk about that fancy word, metabolic rate. This is where the body composition DEXA scan comes into play. And when you jump into the group personal training here, which a lot of you have, we now offer a DEXA scan. And we try to encourage you to get that before you start your classes. Why do we care about what our body is made up of? Because it matters how much lean mass you have. It really does. And our goal for the human body is to have 70% of lean mass in the body that we have. 70%. So when we get that DEXA scan, the most important number is 70%. How far off are we from 70%? Lean mass is muscle, organs, and the fluid in your body. That's what lean mass is. Muscle, organs, and fluid. When we do these DEXA scans, 70% is the number we're looking for, of course. But when we do these DEXA scans, man, it's really easy to get our eyes focused on that bright green stuff. Right? We just shoot straight to it. Let me remind you, we have been taught to approach health in a way that the body actually doesn't work. This isn't about aesthetics. This is all about resilience, independence, and a quality of life. Does fat matter? Yes. Fat matters. It does matter. But it matters in context. It matters in context. We don't necessarily care how much fat you have. We really don't. But we do care where the fat is. We care where the fat is. So let's retrace our steps. All right, let's retrace our steps. Number 1, strength training. Non-negotiable, gotta have it. Why? Because we're gonna build muscle. What is muscle going to do? What is muscle going to do? Well, we do care about fat, but we care about where it's at. All right? The most important fat that's in your body is around your organs. We call this visceral fat. We don't want to have visceral fat. When the fat is internal around our organs, okay, and it's more than 10% of our total fat mass, and it's around our organs, your risk for metabolic disease skyrockets. Okay? More than 80% of Americans over the age of 50 have metabolic disease. Does anyone know what a metabolic disease is? There's 4 major ones. There's 4 major ones. Man, I would love some audience participation. Anyone confident enough to say one? Type 2 diabetes. Yeah, that's the biggest one on that. That's the biggest one. What's another one? Type 2 diabetes. What's another one? Yes, cardiovascular disease. That's the second one. Like a kidney, no. I heard something else. Obesity is another one. Okay. Hypertension. Okay, that's the 4th one. Those pipes are about to burst. Hypertension. Okay. So again, visceral fat drives metabolic disease. Probably want to know what's going on with that. Here's the thing. Visceral fat, you cannot diet that away. No keto, there's no yo-yo, there's nothing that's going to help you get rid of that visceral fat. You reduce it by improving lean mass and improving your overall metabolic health. What does that even mean? What does improved metabolic health, what does that even mean? Here's one of the most misunderstood pieces of this puzzle that we're trying to put together. It's your resting metabolic rate. Your resting metabolic rate. Your resting metabolic rate is this: how much energy your body needs just to exist. Okay? I want to paint this picture for you. You're laying in a hospital bed. You can't be in a coma because your lungs have to work by themselves. Okay? But you're laying in a bed, almost in a coma, lungs are working by themselves, but your brain's like not really working. Right? How many calories do you need just to survive? That's your resting metabolic rate. That's your resting metabolic rate. Okay? When you get close to eating that amount, that is a huge deficit. That is a huge deficit. Okay, on the next slide, we're not going to get there just a second, we're going to see it. My resting metabolic rate, all right, which is based off of your fat mass to your lean mass. Okay, there's a ratio there. Gold standard is the DEXA scan. Again, another reason why we push that. My resting metabolic rate just to survive is 1,500 calories. As we age, man, it gets hard to eat. It gets hard to put down 1,500 calories. If you really think about it, it gets really, really hard. We have a nation of people that are underfueling. When you get close to that resting metabolic rate with your caloric intake, here's what happens. Number 1, we lose muscle. Man, we're already losing it. Every year that goes by, 2 to 5%. We've been taught caloric deficit, lose fat. Man, you do that, you lose muscle. Second thing that happens, our fatigue worsens. Brain fog gets horrible. We cannot recover. Last thing, most important one, probably the most popular in mainstream media right now. I guarantee you've all heard this one. Okay? Guess you've all heard this one. Your stress hormones increase. Not that work's not stressful enough. Caretaking's not stressful enough. 4 kids going crazy is not stressful enough. Work. All the things that go on in a daily life, man, just to get home and have that something comforting. It's so stressful. hormones are just releasing consistently all day long. What do we do as Americans when all this happens? The number one we think, I gotta go exercise. Get rid of some of this stress. Gotta hit the gym. Gotta hit the, you name it. Because I gotta get rid of this stress. Here's what we don't understand. If we underfuel, the closer that we get to that caloric intake, that super small deficit right there, the closer we get there, those stress hormones, it's like pouring fuel on the fire. Dumping, dumping, dumping. I'm going to name a couple of the stress hormones, and I'm going to tell you what happens when they're chronically elevated, which I think is the American way. Ready? Epinephrine. This can lead to heart strain and chronic anxiety. Been there. Norepinephrine may cause restlessness, irritability, and sleep disturbances. I can go on and on about lack of sleep. Maybe we'll have another one of those workshops on sleep. Here's the big one, mainstream media. Cortisol. Anyone ever heard about cortisol? Cortisol, when chronically elevated, can contribute to anxiety, weight gain. Here's the kicker. Hear this all the time. Especially around the abdomen. Stubborn belly fat. Oh man, cortisol, high. Sleep problems, weakened immunity, and memory issues. I Googled this, by the way. I did. I Googled it. When I Googled it, just amazing response. Bottom line, this is what Google said. I have no idea what I was talking about today. Here's what the Google said. Short-term stress sharpens the brain. Our body is appropriately responding to the stress we apply to it. Those stress hormones are good for us, right? In the appropriate quantities. Okay? Here's this. Chronic stress rewires it. Chronic stress rewires the brain. So much so that it makes fear stronger and thinking weaker. Talk about some mixed messages. When those suckers are just being dumped on our bodies, fear increases. This wasn't they didn't know what my talk was about. I just Googled it. First thing that popped up, increased fear, decreased thinking. When we have stress hormones released. Stress hormones get released when we underfuel, when we get close to that resting metabolic rate. So, takeaway from today, don't do that. That was easy, write that down. I want to know what that resting metabolic rate is. Right? There's a few ways to figure that out. Okay? Don't do that. Let's make this a little practical here. Okay, you guys ready for this? Okay. Let's go to that next slide. Are you there? Oh, can you guys see that? I'll make sure that I send this to you because this is super important. Here's the takeaway, okay? Here's the math. First and foremost, we need to know what our resting metabolic rate is. I put mine up here for you guys to see. 1,500 calories per day is what I need just to survive. Okay? So then the big question is, well, I don't want to get close to that because I don't want any of that to happen. Okay, what do? How do we not get close to that? Right? Another one, I knew this is going to be a big question. Well, Dr. Donnie, I understand that, but in order to lose weight, I know that I need to have a caloric deficit, right? Man, you're walking a tight rope. That is a tight rope, okay? Tight rope. So here's some equations for you. All right, here's some equations. By the way, most of us in this room are in the light activity level. All right? When we think about these activity levels, I wouldn't say that we're necessarily, maybe some of you guys are sedentary, I don't know. Sedentary is kind of just, putzing around the house, not doing too much. Light would be kind of, coming to the group personal training 3 times a week. Not doing a whole lot after that, though. It's kind of like what you do, right? Maybe you just go for little walks here and there. By the way, walks here and there might kind of actually be in the sedentary category, right? So we're all pretty much floating around this light. Moderate, that becomes like a college athlete, by the way. That would be something like a moderate activity level, college athlete. We go into a very active, that's like a laborer. All right, that's a laborer. We have a couple laborers in our group personal training, but that's someone who is like grinding really, really hard all day, every day. Okay, so that's how the categories work. So if we stay in this light category range, we need to know, number one, what our resting metabolic rate is. We take our resting metabolic rate, we multiply that by whether we want to lose weight, maintain weight, or gain weight. Okay, I happen to like the weight I am, so I'm going to take my resting metabolic rate, multiply that by 1.375, and that's how many calories I should have in a day. Okay? That's how many calories I should have in a day. So I take my resting metabolic rate, 1,500. Remember, resting metabolic rate, it's based off of a ratio, there's a lot of factors, okay, of your lean mass, what you have in your fat mass. There's a couple different ways to get it. The gold standard's a DEXA. Okay, you've got to get that resting metabolic rate. Once we get that, multiply it by 1.375, that's how many calories I need to have. That puts me about 2,100 calories in a given day. These numbers feel really high to you, higher than maybe expected. That doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. Okay, that doesn't mean that you're doing something. It just means your body has higher demands than what you were taught. All right? Doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It's something that you were taught and that you thought was right. Here's the big deal. Okay, so kind of how I went to strength training, non-negotiable. You all knew that was coming. Here's the next one. We're talking about calories, right? Calories, intake, how many you should have. Protein, yes, anchors the entire system. And I know that's in mainstream media now. Okay, protein, it's all the rage. The U.S. Department of Health just came out with a new MyPlate, or whatever they call that, right? Whatever it is. Guess what's on the very top? Protein, right? It's all the rage. Protein's all the rage. Protein anchors the entire system. Why is that? What does protein do for us? Protein stabilizes blood sugar. I got that one. What does muscle do for us? Stabilize blood sugar. What builds muscle? Protein. So if you have protein and muscle, that's a good thing. Stabilizes blood sugar. Number two, it preserves lean mass. It helps us build the muscle. It helps preserve the lean mass that we have. Lastly, it improves recovery. Helps us sleep. Allows for the sympathetic fight or flight nervous system to calm down, go to parasympathetic, rest, digest, sleep. When we sleep, that's when we rebuild. Burn during the day, build during the night. If we don't sleep because we're restless, it's hard to rebuild. We start the next day, cycle continues. Cycle continues. Hard to recover. Simple target for this, for protein, how much should we eat? About 1 gram per ideal body weight. 1 gram per ideal body weight. That's a whole heck of a lot of protein. Good luck. Good luck. But I'm telling you, the alternative is not worth it. Let's try to figure this out. Okay? Here's the ratios. You can write this one down. I didn't put it on the slides. For every 1 gram of protein, that equals 4 calories. So when you're doing the grams to calories ratio, 1 gram of protein equals 4 calories. 1 gram of carbohydrate, also 4 calories. Okay, 1 to 4, 1 to 4. Fat. Okay, talking about the macros right here. Fat. 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories. Okay, 1 to 4, 1 to 4, 1 to 9. So, for me, 165 pounds times 4, right? 165 grams of protein in a day times 4, that's 660 calories. I did the math earlier. I'm not a mathematician, I'm not my wife. Okay? That's 660 calories that I need to have on a given day just to have protein. That's a lot of single protein. And man, oh man alive, when I started going after this, it takes a ton of work. It takes a lot of effort to get that figured out. Okay? But once I did, oh man, you think that awareness, taking a little high chew before I worked out made me feel good? When I actually started fueling my body appropriately, it's been amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's kind of why I want to jump into this next and last story here. Kind of close it up with this. There's 2 heroes at Freedom. Women that are in the Hall of Fame. One's my wife, and I don't need to go into all the reasons why. I could be here all night. But she loves all of you guys so stinking much. Our staff, the patients, the members, and she works tirelessly for all y'all. So anyways, I'm not going to go into that. Just know that she is a super power woman. She is crazy. So that's one. The second one is our office manager, Kathy Weber.
Hey, Kathy.
Okay, check out Kathy's story, okay? Kathy has been working out consistently in the group personal training for 5 years. And when I mean consistently, man, she has not missed a day. She has barely missed a day. You know what else Kathy does? She walks up to 25 miles a week with her husband. I'm talking snow, sleet, rain, heat. It's like 3 a.m. I don't know what time she does it, because she gets here at like 6 a.m. to work out. But she's crushing it. Walks like crazy, lifts like crazy, doing all the things that people say you should do for 5 years. Her body never changed. I would have quit like 3 years ago. Her body barely changed. The needle barely ever moved. Not because she lacked discipline. And it wasn't because she wasn't trying. Clearly she was, right? She had efforts for that. She wanted it. It's not that she lacked motivation. Here's what happened. About 9 months ago, 10 months ago, we started implementing in the DEXA scan, where we would look at the body composition. She went and got her body composition. Her and I sat down. We did the math. Come to find out, she's under fueling. Yeah, shocker. By a lot. And it's mostly protein. That with a little bit of gut health, Kathy in the last 6 months has lost 20 pounds. Yeah. But more importantly than even the weight, her composition has changed. Her energy and confidence have improved. They've changed, not because she worked harder. Not because she worked harder. It's because she finally aligned her habits. All right, she had the habits there. She finally aligned her habits with what her body actually needed. Her body needed fuel. And that brings us to this very important point. Fat loss is not the end goal. A couple people's phones rang right there. Hallelujah. Fat loss is not the end goal. Okay? The goal is improving your quality of life. The way we improve quality of life is we do it by slowly, safely, and consistently moving towards function. The way that we do that here is by what we call our 12 freedom movements. Right? And those standards, as we consistently get closer and closer, those represent real life capacity, strength, balance, confidence, independence. And when someone commits to this process, okay, not perfectly, but consistency, outcomes follow. Outcomes will follow. Lean mass improves. Visceral fat decreases. Metabolic disease risk goes down. How do we know? We look at your DEXA scan. And we track it year after year after year to make sure that your body composition is changing. It's not because we chase fat loss. It's not because we built a weak, torn down body. It's because we built a body that functions well. And this process only works if it's built to last. And this kind of change requires two things. You guys might want to write these two things down. The first one is appropriate motivation. And I would underline appropriate. Super important. Appropriate. Talked a lot about appropriate today. Appropriate motivation is not fear. Shocker. It's not guilt. And it's not comparison. Oh Lord, it is not comparison. It's a big talk in our house, the Keene house. Comparison is the thief of all joy. You start comparing yourself, what is it then? What's appropriate motivation? It's purpose. It's purpose. Could use some water right now. I'm about to start watering out this way. Man, God wouldn't have put you on this planet if he didn't have a purpose for you. He would have chose someone else. Okay, second one, mental fortitude. Mental fortitude. What is fortitude? Fortitude is this: the ability to stay consistent through imperfect weeks, busy seasons, vacations, injuries. Oh, heavenly days, you gotta go to PT. Dang it. Nope. Is that failure? No, it's not failure. Diagnoses, surgeries. It's about staying consistent. Consistent with what? Strength training. It's the first fact of the night. Physiological truth, number one. Second, the right approach to nutrition. It's not under fuel anymore. Let's give our bodies what it needs. Sleep, hydration, stress management. All that stuff is not a program. Okay, that's not a program. That's just a way of living. And when people live this way, the outcomes take care of themselves. So I kind of want to leave you with this. True freedom isn't a number on the scale. Just get rid of that freaking thing. Okay? Doesn't tell you anything. It's capacity. Capacity to move without fear, to think clearly, to have energy for your loved ones. So important right now. Okay? Your parenting, no matter how old you are, still matters. Your grandparenting matters a lot. Your caretaking matters. Your life, it really, really matters. Your friendships, your relationships, they matter. It's a purposeful life that we're living. Capacity to move without fear, to think clearly, to have energy for your loved ones, and to stay independent as the years pass. Tonight, if something resonated with you, kind of that, okay, we're here for you. All right, we're here for you. We'd love to chat with you. And ultimately, that's not failure calling you forward. That's just awareness. Some light bulbs that are going off. Okay? So here at Freedom, we exist for people who are sick of starting over. We are here for people who want guidance, structure, and support that respects both your body and your life. Okay? Whether that's physical therapy, if you guys need that, one of our 4 awesome doctors of physical therapy that just pour out their lives for all their patients. Jumping in with the group personal training with a group of us, people that are just going after habits, lifestyle, quality of life. We're all just going after the same thing. Or just a DEXA scan for clarity to get that resting metabolic rate. Kind of figure out what you're working with. You don't have to choose or decide anything tonight. That's not what this is all about. Tonight was not about any of that. What this is about is just giving you tools to equip you so that you can care for a body that lasts. Okay? Not putting pressure on anybody, not promising anything, just trying to equip you with a process that lasts. Any questions? A lot of you in here. We've got 2 questions. Let's start with Kathy and then Kathy.
I just wanted to ask you,
Yeah.
you measure your protein intake through grams, but you mentioned protein calories.
Yes.
For you is like 660.
Yes.
So what are you thinking about in a day, the grams or the calories?
Yeah, so this is the same.
Unless I've misunderstood.
No, that's okay. That's great. That's a really good question, and I'm glad that you asked because make sure that we did. Most packages, when you look at it, it gives you grams.
Right.
Right? It gives you grams. But you can convert grams, that unit, into calories. The way you convert it into calories is you do for every 1 gram times 4 equals calories.
Got
right?
it.
So if you're trying to hit if you're trying to hit 2,000 calories in a day, you can simply look at the package, say, okay, this is 10 grams of protein.
Right.
Okay, well, if I'm trying to get 2,000 calories, well, how many grams is that to calories?
It's 10 times 4.
10 times 4, so that would be 40 calories towards your overall 2,000
Thank you.
calories. Yeah, so there's a unit conversion there.
Okay, so I know you're speaking, just generally, but
Yeah.
I don't know how hormones play into a factor with kind of what you've been talking about with men versus women. It's
Yes.
different.
100%. Yeah.
But is that something that you guys can do here?
Men versus women.
Yeah, like how hormones play effect into I know you say don't use the word fat loss or don't look at the
Sure. Yeah,
but
100%.
I mean, it does play a factor.
Which part? Sorry, the hormone part or the scale part?
Yeah, well, just overall, and how
Uh-huh.
you hold on to fat. And
me see if I can say this. The root of the question is men and women are different.
Yes.
That's kind of the root of the question, right?
Yeah.
So should a female look at this the same as a male would?
Generally, yes.
And generally speaking, is that the case? And the answer is no. No. Men and women are very different, right? Women have hormones that men don't, okay? But the stress hormones, those ones that I talked about, epinephrine, norepinephrine, cortisol, is all the same, right? A stress hormone is a stress hormone, and they play out the exact same in men as they do in women, right? Now, the other hormones, totally
It's
different
just some
topic.
of the hormones like hold on to the cortisol. They don't let you like come down.
Like estrogen?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yep, exactly, right? So it's going to present differently because of estrogen levels, right? And once we hit menopause, estrogen goes away, right? We lose it. And there's a huge transition from having a ton of estrogen that holds on to cortisol. Then we go through a period where we don't have any, well, y'all don't have any estrogen, right? And yeah, that is going to impact and affect women very much differently. I mean, we can go further on that point with men and women. I mean, women, you guys have been attacked since you guys were very, very little about what we talk about tonight, right? Since you guys are little girls, it's just the culture of like, be skinny or be this way or be that way, right? And here's how you do it, you eat less. Well, we eat less, well, now we're screwed as well, right? It's kind of like you're screwed if you do and you're screwed if you don't. So what are we gonna believe, right? We tend to go with, well, so-and-so just didn't eat and they look like that. So I'm just gonna eat less and then maybe I'll look like that, right? And that kind of just plays out. And I'm just speaking from just experience with patients and other people, and my wife as well. That's where that comes from. But it is a real thing. Like women and men are different. Hormones are different, for sure. And the way that it holds on in women is very different. And the culture plays a huge factor into that. And I do not envy you guys at all in any way, shape, or form. So that's a very good question.
Okay, so protein shakes to try to cheat and get more protein.
Uh-huh.
Are those good, bad? It depends on the brand. It depends on if it's brown or yellow. Like, what are your thoughts on the protein shakes?
That's a great question.
I can drink about 40 cups if I need to in a day.
Yeah. I'm sure there's people out here that are smarter than me with this answer, that have done more research, okay, and know maybe more about brands versus not brands, heavy metals versus not heavy metals, because I know that there's heavy metals in specific protein drinks, and I know that you can go down that route with that, and again, I know there's people here that are probably more educated on that. Here's what I tend to think, specifically with like the brand, okay, and or just the protein intake. There's good, better, and best, right? I'm sure the best way to get protein is to have legumes, clean meat, right? That would probably be the best way, is to eat like real food, you know, real meat, real legumes, real protein, that type of stuff. For sure, that's the best. I think good, like better, so best, better. I think better is you gotta do what you can do, right? You gotta do what you can do, and therefore a protein shake's great. And a brand probably matters. I'm sure Google can help with that. ChatGPT, right? I'm sure some of them here can. But I think brand could matter, right? I think brand could matter, but at the end of the day, you gotta have what you can have, or you just get the protein, right? So that's like the good protein drink, doesn't matter what it is. Whatever you can afford, whatever you can get that. Because even though I know that there's discussions on all the things that go into brands and into drinks and things like that, all the additives and things like that, my theory, this is a theory, is that we're so careful of what we eat that we choose not to eat. Because we would rather not put something in our bodies that we think potentially will harm us, so we just don't eat anything at all, right? So we don't supplement it with the right stuff, we just don't do it. But then it goes back to the vicious cycle of what we have. So if your option is good, go for good, right? That's what I would say. If your option is good, go for good. If you get figuring out with good and things aren't changing, then maybe research a little bit more of what best or better looks like, right? Maybe you don't go for the Kirkland Premier, you go for the Orgain.
Or purchase a cow.
Or yeah, you purchase a cow. Exactly right. Right. So, was that helpful? Did you guys hear that back there? Good, better, best with protein, like what kind of protein to have. So that's a very politically correct answer.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Yes.
Aminos?
Oh, amino acids. Yeah, amino acids. So amino acids are the building blocks. Yeah, so amino acids, like those are the building blocks to protein. So it almost takes like the compound of protein, it breaks it down into the amino acids. I think there's 12 of them, right? 12 essential amino acids. Yeah.
Is it more direct, more powerful?
I don't know.
Protein drink?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Sorry.
My healthcare provider, I said I want to see about protein, and she said
Go for the amino acids.
go for the aminos.
Yeah, so there's branched chain, and the branched chain amino acids are the components to protein that can help build that protein. So yes, I'm sure branched chain amino acids would be great as well, right? As long as you're also having the complex compound protein as well. You don't want to just have amino acids, right? So that's kind of like the good, better, best. You're probably going towards the better if you're getting some amino acids with the protein, but just make sure that you're getting enough of the complex protein, and all the numbers here are specifically towards the protein.
And what about creatine?
Man, we're going supplements now. I like that. Right? She asked, what about creatine? Okay, creatine is within the last year or two one of the most well-researched supplement. Creatine is naturally made in our bodies, and so creatine helps build lean muscle. All right, it is very safe to take. Just so you know, based off of the research that I know about, I do know about this one, creatine. I do take it as well. It's safe to take. But again, I would go so much to say that be careful with the creatine intake if you're not getting the protein intake. All right, you need the protein way more than you need the creatine. The other thing with the creatine, just so you guys know, creatine can dehydrate you. And that is something that we don't think about. Creatine can dehydrate you. So if you take creatine, you better be chugging water, okay? Taking electrolytes with it. Because again, our bodies need hydration. And if we're taking creatine thinking we're helping muscle build, but then we're dehydrated, oh man, we're in a world of hurt, okay? We're in a world of hurt. So if we take creatine, have to hydrate. We have to drink a lot of water, okay? So if you're crushing creatine and coffee, which I do, okay, you're running a real risk of being dehydrated. And again, remember, dehydration, that leads to a whole bunch of problems as well, right? And that's probably where a lot of us are as well. So underfueling, underhydrated, creatine can lead to that. Was that helpful, Jean?
What?
Was that helpful?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And it from what I read, it just helps build muscles. It doesn't actually build muscles.
Yes, yep. It aids in it, like amino acids, yes. Hold on, Dan, I'll get to you in a second. Gwen?
Do men and women metabolize different types of protein differently?
Holy smokes, I don't know. That's a great question, and I don't know the answer to that, but how protein is broken down and metabolized in men.
Like should women lean more towards lean meat and fish versus red meat?
You know, I don't know.
Okay.
That's a very good question, and I don't know the answer to that. Anything that I would be to say would be all theory based off of what I think, but I don't know. Her question is men versus women, is there a protein that works better for one or the other? And my response is I don't know. It's a very good question. Very good, and I don't know. Sorry, Dan.
I was going to say probably 4 or 5 years ago, and then the tri-training and
Yes.
Stronger You, if you ever heard that,
Yep.
even though we sold out. Of course, always did the macro diet, and for me, 200 pounds, 200 calorie or 200 grams of protein. I felt like basically 2 scoops of protein in the morning to get like 40 grams of protein and then crock pot full of chicken.
Yeah.
And then I was weighing out grams of chicken for lunch, for dinner, and it was just like piles of meat every day.
Praise the Lord for protein shakes. Let's go protein shakes.
But it's one of those where it's like, and I thought, okay, this seems boring as hell.
Yeah.
And the closest thing I had is a chiropractor I know is OCD and power lifter. I was like, well, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I do the same thing, and then Saturday I eat whatever I want. And he's like, well,
Like a
what do
cheat
you
day.
do? And he's like, well, I eat eggs and then chicken at lunch, and I was like, no, you do the
Yeah.
exact same thing. It's like, you don't do anything you want. It's
Yeah,
like,
so-
how do you get all the protein?
The cool thing is that we have really awesome protein drinks now that are way better than 3 years ago, 5 years ago. So I go with Daisha and I say protein drinks, protein bars, right? Those high protein energy, those things, they work, right? And then of course, yeah, you gotta eat more. And again, that goes against what we've been taught, but we just gotta eat more. And again, the cool thing is, we have supplementation that can help us, right? We have protein drinks that can help us. And I tend to lean on the side of, let's drink those. Let's go for that, right? Because it's so, especially when you weigh 200 pounds, like, right? And you want to weigh 200 pounds, that's tough. I mean, that's a lot of protein that you gotta figure out how to eat. Yeah, that's really tough. That's a lot of chewing.
The Oikos brand of yogurt is
Oh,
very
yeah.
high protein.
Greek
Zero
yogurt is,
sugar.
yeah.
And they actually came out with a new one that's strawberry and it's like double the protein.
Yeah,
And I
Greek.
looked up, and it actually tastes decent.
It actually tastes good, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, because protein is becoming so mainstream,
Yeah.
right, everything's got it. In fact, Eggo waffles. They got protein Eggo waffles now. My kids are like, "Do we have waffles?" And my wife's like, "Yeah, sure." Eggos. I'm like, Eggos? They said, "It's got protein on it, though." I'm like, oh. My wife knows how to get Eggos and protein. Okay.
So, can you talk about what the DEXA scan, like, with the evaluation, I'm assuming it's the DEXA scan, and then what happens after that? Like, do you help do the calculations and make some recommendations on, next steps?
Yeah, so the question is, so you sign up, get the DEXA scan, then what, right? What we've done is we've compiled a video that goes along with the DEXA scan that explains how to do all this stuff, right? So it's a 9-minute video that helps you understand how do I do the calculations, how do I look at it, and then when the next one comes around, right, when we get our next DEXA scan, oh man, that's going to be fun. That's going to be awesome, right? So those who have been consistently going after it for a year, they get their next DEXA scan, and you start to compare. That's when it gets fun, right? Then you get the next one, then you get the next one, then you get the next one. That's when it gets fun. And again, the whole idea is just this idea of awareness, okay? Just learning, just becoming aware of what you have. Because no matter what, you're all sitting there, you have something going on right now. It's your body. Okay? You are what you are. It's there. Let's just see what it is, and let's work towards it, and let's make sure we're eating and fueling ourselves appropriately to the training that we're doing. Okay? All right. Oh, Becky.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's your opinion on the carnivore diet?
Oh man. Okay. Very good question. What is my opinion on the carnivore diet? I don't know. I think this doesn't come with much research. This is just coming out of my experience. I think it's a bad idea.
Right.
I think the carnivore diet is a bad idea because if we don't have fat, okay, if we don't have fat, our brains can't work. And I know there's some fat in meat. Don't get me wrong, I know that there's some fat in there. But it's not gonna get to the brain fast enough to where you can actually think and move and work. And as we get older, we need to have fat. We have to have it. And I do know this. we've been asking a lot of men-women question. I know that if you're a female, you have got to have carbohydrates. You have got to have fat. You have to have that. Specifically for menopause. You've got to have those nutrients, okay, to help you get through it. It's so important. It's vital. Even though the culture tells you the opposite, right? Eat the protein, eat the carnivore, look this way. That's not quality of life. That's really not healthy. Okay? What mainstream says is the look for health is actually really not healthy. And I know you all know that. Okay? I know you know that. But do you believe it? That's a very big difference, right? I know we know that, but do we believe it? Fat's okay for you. Fat on your body is okay for you too. In fact, as we age, we need to have fat. It's so important, specifically for females. Okay? You gotta have fat on your body. It is healthy for you. It is safe for you. And it's good for you. Okay? and again, I'm telling you,
fat over here.
and that right there, that messaging is not Donnieism. Okay? That is for real. That is reality. That is true. And that's a lot of what we're trying to get to next. Becky.
One other question. I keep seeing advertisements for this, looks like a scale that you stand on.
A shaker?
No, it's a scale that you stand on, and then you pull up like this, and it gives you all these readings and everything, including the DEXA reading.
Like an in-body? It's called an in-body?
This is called a UMO or something.
Okay.
But anyway, you bring up like this and you stand real still on it, and it gives you all of these in-body readings.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, they're coming with all kinds of different ways to determine that. And one thing I can say about like these other types of scales to determine resting metabolic rate, lean mass, and all that stuff, all those things are great. They all work really, really well.
They do work?
Yeah,
Okay,
they work
okay.
pretty well. So when we were researching about DEXA,
Yeah.
right, when we were coming with the bone health, and we were like, hey, why did we jump all in with DEXA rather than just get an in-body in here?
Yeah.
Okay, because the in-bodies are super cheap, right? You can get that for super cheap. You can do all that. The gold standard for body composition is a DEXA scan.
Yeah.
That's like 100% accurate, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're just getting the 100%. Some of those in-bodies can fluctuate anywhere from 85 to 95% accurate, and you never know what you're going to get, right? So, tomato, tomato, in that respect. So 85 to 95% is really not horrible. But here we decided, let's go for what we know to be true, 100%. Let's not even question it. And again, the reason why we went with 100% here with the DEXA partnership is because if we're going to do scans year after year, we want to have a pretty accurate scan. Okay? I don't want 85% true this year and then 90% true the next year, because what happens then is like, if we go backwards, but you've been doing all this work, man, now we have a whole bunch of more problems. So that's again why the DEXA is the gold standard, the body composition scan.
Donnie, one last question.
Let's go. Last one.
This is asking for a friend. No one in this room.
No one.
If you are addicted to sugar and you love sugar in all its forms, is it true that it does less damage when coupled with protein? Asking for a friend. Asking for a friend. Just want to know.
I know that friend.
Man, I don't know.
In the sense that,
Yes, yes.
Just to send this off on a good note, yeah. Oh, Dave, wait. Wait, Dave wants to put his 2 cents in on the sugar protein.
No, for the same friend. How does alcohol use come into play?
Oh, fantastic. Okay, that's a great question. So there's quite a bit to alcohol. And the first one, right, it is a sugar. Okay, so it is a sugar. The other thing too is that it metabolizes in the body differently than like normal sugar. Okay, the thing with alcohol that happens is it disturbs sleep. That's the biggest thing that alcohol does. It disturbs your sleep. So when you're taking in alcohol, you sleep like crap, right? The reason why that affects us more than like sugar, okay, the glycemic index is different, but the alcohol, when it affects your sleep, it takes you away from the parasympathetic nervous system and it keeps you in the fight or flight. So throughout the night, even though you are passed out, your system is fighting all night long. So you actually don't get the sleep that you need. You're not able to get out of the parasympathetic, out of the fight or flight sympathetic into the parasympathetic. So you actually lack recovery because you can't sleep. And like we talked about in there, all day long you burn. You've got to rebuild, okay? The only way you can rebuild is one of two things. Get into the parasympathetic when you sleep or take steroids.
You could drink in the morning.
There's your answer. So if you're gonna drink, let's start. So that's what I can tell you about alcohol. That's a very, very good question because it does turn into a sugar, very much so. But above and beyond the sugar, it actually wreaks havoc on the system because again, it crosses over the blood-brain barrier and it really wreaks havoc.
What about gummies?
Whoa! On to the next workshop. I don't know. I don't know. The question wasn't about gummies. I'm sure there's people in here that know.
Protein gummies.
Hi, y'all. Hey, with that said, I think, where's she at? Mackenzie's got that little. Feel free, okay, if you want to come and chat with me, man, I'd love to chat with you. All right, so these questions are really good. We can keep these conversations going. Give me a heads up in advance, and maybe I'll do a little bit more research so that I come more prepared. You guys had some incredible questions, and hopefully this was worth a while tonight. We'll have another workshop in 3 months. It's going to be about walking. Okay.